beautiful rainy Sunday to be in the house of the Lord. Thank you for those who are here, and the rest of our church is downstairs. We have a young church. That's a good thing, and that means that if the Lord tarries, our future is very, very bright, and we're excited about that. We're going to teach today on the subject matter, following the teachings of Jesus. Now, obviously, there will be no way to cover, I know y'all think I will attempt to cover everything today, but I'm not. These are some various teachings. Matter of fact, these are a few teachings that probably we don't maybe talk enough about. The first one will be a little more relevant because it seems like we're there as a nation, but Jesus taught that life will go well for those who learn to value things that are opposite of what the world celebrates. And that's his teaching, is we are not of the world. We live in it. We have to work. We have to live. We have to pay our bills. We have to do whatever. But the worldly concepts, things that the world will push and celebrate, are oftentimes anti-word. So many of Jesus' followers found themselves in poverty. That right there in our own nation is a total flip on its head to what our country calls the American dream. And the American dream has all, I remember growing up hearing, the equivalent of the American dream was, the house with the white picket fence and the kids and the collie dogs and, just running around and whatever, So it was like, that was like the American dream. It's pretty much the same. It's just now it's like 3-story houses that, cost $500,000 because our market's crazy, on like a quarter of an acre, and you could spit in the window of your neighbor. There is zero privacy. I mean, you can like, hey, can I have that can? Yeah, and you just share the sugar through the windows. And, the latest, greatest, we're always being bombarded. I literally was riding down the road yesterday in my new car, laughing at myself because in just a few months, there'll be one that's going to be better than that one. Like our humanity is going to be like, oh man. Well, I told Emerson, like every time that new iPhone comes out, we'll watch that little thing together, and it's become a joke. It's kind of like comedy for us because they say the same things every single year. Totally reimagined, re-engineered, redesigned, and then they show you the pictures like, there ain't one thing changed on that thing. It looks exactly the same. No, well, it's faster. The camera's bigger. There's more lenses. It does, wide angle this. And so they make little adjustments to make your humanity feel like, man, I got to get that because now my camera can go wide. Your camera has always been able to go wide, maybe not as wide because we're in America. We take pictures like this because we're wide. Y'all catching it? I took a few of y'all a few minutes to catch on to me. Some of y'all are like, yeah, man. Yeah, we have to take them this way. And so, that's just, I'm riding down the road and I'm really just kind of started chuckling, just laughing at myself at our humanity, and that right now I'm the only one on the road in this area. But in March, there will be another one because it's on the way. It's on the truck. And there'll be 2 of us in the Woodstock Town Lake area. And I remember when I had the first Telluride, and then I saw another Telluride, and now you see Tellurides everywhere. And our human nature is like we celebrate the fact that we've got something nobody else has. But give it just a little bit of time, and you'll see EV6s everywhere. And then it's like, well, he just has an EV6. You see what happens? That new car you just got, like it's, oh my goodness, this is unbelievable, until you start looking, and there's like 900 of them. And, you start comparing your trim package to their trim package, and they got this, and I couldn't afford that, and they got humanity. That is what the world pushes on us. All right, now there is nothing wrong with being blessed. There's nothing wrong with getting a new car if you can afford it. There's nothing wrong. Don't go buy them just because we're all buying them. I told Ross that I said, man, my parking lot starting looking like a Kia dealership. He's like, that's what's supposed to be. I'm like, well, yeah, you would say that. And so, our human nature and the world concept of the American dream pushes on us this need to work, 90 hours a week, lose time with our family, lose time with other things that are eternal, and the pressure to live in a certain area, gated community, blah, blah, blah. You fill in the blank, okay? We all know, we all live, we all understand what we're talking about. Those things that the world pushes on us are the very things Jesus was like, that's not kingdom. That's the world, but that's not me. And so there were several people in scriptures, and I hit a few of them last week. There were several who chose poverty, and they left their jobs. Remember that last week? They literally just dropped their nets. I used the example of, Simon could have been one of the best fishermen in that area, but when Jesus called him, he just dropped his net and walked away. He walked away from an income, job security, a retirement plan. Who knows how much he was making? The theory of that day was he was among the ones getting paid, and so for him to just drop his net and follow Jesus with no guarantee of anything but sleeping on dirt, having a rock for a pillow. Jesus said, if you follow me, foxes have holes and birds have nests, but I don't have anywhere to lay my head. You want to come? I don't think so. Can you get like a hotel? Can you get an RV? Can you get our bus a fifth wheel? How about one big old tour buses? You get a tour bus and I'm with you, right? With my picture on the side of it. Jesus and the boys, it's like, yeah, no, that's just not how it works, And so they left their jobs, they left the comforts of their own home so that they could follow Jesus and thrive spiritually. So you have the world who wants you to thrive economically. They want you to thrive stereotypically. You got to be a part of a certain stereotype and certain class, working class, or you don't really matter. Right? That's the worldview. Jesus is like, that stuff don't matter. You need to thrive spiritually. Because all the money, all the hard work, okay, here's the bottom line I tell people, and this is so true in America. You can give your life to that company. And when they get bought out, you are nothing but a number. You get a pink slip and an exit. Clean your desk out. It doesn't matter how many millions of dollars you made for that company. It doesn't matter how many. It's almost like it become a game in America there for a while. You just kept hearing these stories of people getting right to the point of retirement and collecting, and they would let them go. It's like, are you kidding me right now? There is zero loyalty in the world. And so Jesus, knowing all of this, he knows the end from the beginning, starts off his mission of getting people to join him by saying, don't get caught up in all that stuff. You ain't nothing but a number. And when they're done with you, they're done with you. This kingdom is eternal. And I'll never leave you. I'll never forsake you. I'll be with you. You're going to see things, if you follow me, that you could have never seen out there. Just throwing your net in every day, pulling in fish to sell at the market. And so there are things that Jesus pushes for us and values that he tries to get us to embrace. And that is to buy into the kingdom. If you're going to buy into the kingdom, you must stop clutching the things of this world. Materialism will get a hold of you if you're not careful. And I was standing at the Kia place the other day, and this family walks in, and they were looking at a couple different cars, and they were the type of people that want to Jew you down, and they want you to give them the car when it's all said and done. and I've worked in the retail world, so as soon as they walked in, I was like, bud, this is going to be fun. And so I stood there. I wanted to watch this one unfold. And sure enough, they were wanting, well, how much, I don't want to pay anything over MSRP. And like, well, that's not even possible in the car world right now. You are going to pay more than that sticker price, period. It just is what it is, okay? And so if you go out there shopping and you're trying to get it, for the MSRP or under, they're just going to tell you hit the road because they've got 10 people waiting in line that are on their way to get that car if you don't buy it. So the guy's talking about this, that, and that, and then they literally go out there and start looking at my car. My car's not for sale. Mine's sitting on the charger, and I'm just sitting there hanging out with the crew. And the wife is like walking around it. And one of the salesmen looked at me and said, what you going to do about that? I said, we'll jack it up about $15,000 over MSRP, and I'll sell that sucker right now. I am not married to no car. I'll buy another one. I don't care. He's like, it's a good idea. Well, they weren't going to pay 15. They weren't going to pay $1,000 over MSRP. So I think they walked. I said, you know what you ought to tell them to do? Go on down to the Ford dealership. Because they won't bend $100. So I was like, send them on down there. They'll come back. They'll come back and buy it from you because you're not that bad. But materialism and, the things of this world that bombard us on a daily basis, having to wear the right kind of shoes, having to wear the right. I remember. Okay, here we go. Let's show our age tonight or today. Jordache jeans. If you weren't wearing Jordache, your parents did not love you. If you didn't wear the whatever shoe was in at the time. And I remember I'm in middle school and Michael Jordan comes out with the Air Jordans. And I mean, white people that can't even hit a basket wanted to wear Air Jordans. That would have been me. And so I just liked the way they looked. I liked Michael Jordan. I don't know all of his stats. I just knew the dude could dunk a ball and make it look so easy. And, every kid's out there in their neighborhood trying to do and there's broken bones and necks and paralyzed, kids for today trying to do that stuff, and you just can't. And, so the pressure, if you're not wearing members only jackets. Am I ministering to anybody right now? Y'all remember those? Parachute pants. If you weren't wearing parachute pants, look, there was no white person that ever needed to wear parachute pants. But they did. That was pitiful. Like, okay, break dance. You're like, yeah, don't ever do that again. No. Get in a line and do your square dance. But do not ever try to pull a Michael Jackson move off ever again, ever. Don't ever do it. And so there was these styles, and styles come from the world. It's a fad. It's trend. And it comes from, all these different, parts of the world that, they're the trendsetters. And if they're doing it, you got to do it. It hits California, it hits New York, West, East Coast. It works its way into the middle. And here we are trying to keep up with everybody's trends. And that's the ways of the world. Jesus is like, look, that stuff's going to change in about 6 months. The other day, Emerson there was something he was looking at, and he said, that looks like you remember those spinners, Dad? And I was like, yeah. And it was like, he said, them things have been on, they're old now. And I was like, because it seems like spinners were yesterday. So he said, hey, Siri. Oh, Lord, she's going to start talking to us. I ain't talking to you right now. He said the word. And he said, when was spinners popular? When were spinners popular? I said, 2017. That's been 5 years. 5 years. Everybody had spinners. You couldn't go to a store without seeing spinners at the register. Every store had them. It didn't matter what. If you wanted to make a quick couple $5, because they probably paid 50 cents for them, and they sold them for $9.99, and, you want to make a little extra money, just put spinners up here because everybody's got them, because everybody has some type of, mental problem. And we're all walking around in life going, Emerson could do all kind of tricks with them and stuff. And so you got to understand that this world pushes, people are buying spinners that don't need spinners. But because everybody has them, now there's those little pop things. Give it another 10 days and that's going to be gone. Something new will replace. That's what Jesus was trying to tell us way back then. You need to focus on spiritual stuff that really matters, And if you're going to cling to something, cling to the kingdom. Cling to things that are eternal. Because this worldly stuff's going to get old. You're going to get tired of it. It's going to break down. It ain't going to crank. Sister Kirby, it's not going to crank. You're going to get stranded at the gas station. Sims, bless their hearts, they've gone through like 10 cars this weekend. Every time they touch one, it just turns to a lemon. And it's, you know what? That stuff comes and goes. It gets old. It's going to fade away. Your money's going to burn up. Somebody's going to get a hold of it. The heir of your property and estate's going to take it and do who knows what to it. None of that stuff actually matters in the end. And that is one of those teachings that Jesus kept hammering to anybody who would listen. There's nothing wrong with being blessed. There's nothing wrong with promotions and getting a better place to live and a better car to drive. There's nothing wrong with all that. There's nothing wrong with having nice things. Do not get married to the idea that that is where your value comes from. Because that's not where your value comes from. That's why Colossians 2:9 said, you're not complete in anything but me. Right. Jesus. Yeah, that Jesus is what completes you. There's not an earthly relationship. There is not an earthly relationship that can complete you. Right. Jesus is that only thing. There's not a job. There's, Maya going to school to be a brain surgeon and, being a nerd and smart and all that stuff. Having a way bigger IQ than me and smarter in that regards, but I'm more spiritual. And and I'll always be the authority. She's like, I want to work on your brain. I was like, not yet. No, I want to see what you can do first. She can pursue all of that stuff, and that's great. But she's heard me. I'm her second dad, and she's heard Dad tell her, hey, look, if you end up working at Waffle House and you go to heaven, I'll be more happy about that than you being the most well-known brain surgeon in this world. Have all this money and have all this stuff and have no relationship with Jesus Christ. I would rather go through the Walmart checkout line and be like, hey, girl, and hug your neck, and everybody be like, what is he doing? Oh, that's my dad. They're like, wait a minute. How did that work? Looks like her mama. Looks just like her mama. I would rather go through Walmart and high five my daughter and love on her and her be on her way to heaven and have her grip on eternal things than her driving up in a Maserati and live in a mansion and she's like, I don't know, Pastor, I might like that Maserati. We might have to negotiate the car. So there's nothing wrong with being blessed. There's nothing wrong with pursuing excellence. There's nothing wrong with bettering yourself. Make sure, Jesus is saying this, make sure you don't get the two things swapped. Because at the end of the day, that doctorate degree ain't going to get you into heaven. There will be poor people who lived on the street that might make it to heaven. And you go to hell with all the money and all the prestige and all the stuff that they never had. That's what Jesus said. So Jesus said that disciples who work to make the world a better place will be persecuted. And that totally seems relevant to these last days and how we kind of approached a lot of this overstepping of the lines of authority and kind of a tyrannical, you are not going to go to church, you're not going to have church because there's a virus going around or whatever. And we begin to feel, we're persecuted. I never said that was persecution. It was stupidity. It was dumb. But it wasn't persecution per se. But Jesus did say, you are going to be persecuted. But then he also, this is the neat thing here, at the same time, in the same scripture, and we're going to read it, that Jesus said you'll be persecuted, he said you're going to be blessed. As if to tell you that there is a blessing in persecution. Like, don't take the persecution and isolate it by itself and become a victim. Understand that the persecution has a purpose. And that purpose is to become a blessing. And it ain't going to feel like a blessing while you're getting squeezed in and you're being told things you don't want, and you're being forced and you're being, challenged. It ain't going to feel like a blessing then. But the blessing comes through. So go real quick, pull up Luke 6:22. Blessed. All right. Now see, that's the cool thing about Jesus is he gives you the good news first. Praise God. Luke 6:22. He gives you the good news first. Everybody's like, you want the good news or the bad news? Most people are like, give me the bad news. Let's just get this out of the way so that I can get to the good news. He tells you first because you know what he does? He wants you to have the good news in your mind so that when the bad news comes, it has to filter through. Blessed are ye when men shall hate you. What? How does that even work? And when they shall separate you from their company, when they begin to disassociate with you because of what you believe and who you are and things you do or you don't do, and shall reproach you. It ain't getting better, is it? And cast out your name as evil. They begin to run your name down. They talking about you. Yeah, such and such. They do this and they do that, or they don't do this, or have you noticed they're all perfect. They're goody two shoes. They come through here and blah 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 blah. For the Son of Man's sake. Now, the persecution is not even about you. It's actually about him. Verse 23. Rejoice ye in that day. Okay, no, wait a minute, Jesus. All right. We're going to be blessed for being totally persecuted. That does not sound right. And now you're telling us to rejoice. In that day of persecution, throw a party. Have a celebration. Walk around smiling. Walk around realizing, man, this is something to be excited about. What? And leap for joy? Now, we thought leaping for joy was only on the certain songs that you couldn't quite get the dance pulled off. So you just leap, which is most of the white people. You just leap because you can't get the footwork, so you just leap or you run or, whatever. But he's saying leap for joy. Rejoice and have a praise break in persecution. And we're like, Jesus, I don't know what rock you slept on last night. But whichever one that was, could you change it tonight? Because you ain't thinking straight today. Rejoice, leap for joy, for behold, your reward is great in heaven. Your reward is not the stuff you have down here. This is just temporary blessings to just say, hey, you know what? I love you. I'm proud of you. You're doing things right. No, you're not perfect, but you're doing things right. You're doing good. And you know what? I'm going to bless you with a promotion. You're going to get blessed, and they're going to get a raise so that you can afford to get a better car. You've been driving that hoopty around, and I know it's about to just all four tires are about to just go boom and just lay in the middle of the interstate. And you're going to be like on the wheels, and so I'm going to bless you. Now, don't be getting arrogant. Don't be getting cocky. Don't be getting all stuck up thinking you're better because now you don't drive a hoopty. You always remember that hoopty got you to where you were going. It took the hoopty to get you to where your reward's not here. Those new cars are just blessings. They're not our reward. They're blessings. For in the like manner did their fathers unto the prophets. Okay, so 2 times here in both of these verses, he starts with the positive, he hits you in the middle with like some meat, and then kind of reminds you of why. You're going to be hated, verse 22, because of me, Jesus said. It's not about you. People who want to take it upon themselves and say, well, they're hating on me. They don't like me. They become victims and they become bitter because they make it about them. Now, I have not said this yet, and I'm not going to say it. I'm not saying this is easy. I'm not saying this is the stuff you want to shout about. This is some of those various teachings that we don't really talk a whole lot about because it is very uncomfortable to talk about how I'm supposed to be rejoicing in persecution when my friends literally disassociate from me and cut me off, and I'm supposed to have a praise break. That don't seem right. until you understand the bigger picture is, it's not even about you. They don't like me in you. They didn't mind you when you weren't with me. They didn't mind you when you weren't doing things that you're doing now, which would probably mean that you're not doing things that you were doing then. It's not you they have a problem with. This Jesus character has changed you. Anybody ever heard, well, you've changed? Well, I hope the God you have, I hope you ain't still the same way at 32 as you were at 12. We have a problem. That's what's wrong with snowflakes today. They still acting like they're 2. They're 22. You need to suck it up and do something with your life, right? Okay, so here we are. Jesus is telling us, blessed is the man who's persecuted. Say, what? How am I being blessed through it? Well, because you're going to have to learn a teaching of Jesus is that you cling to kingdom things and you just enjoy some of these little perks and blessings while you're here, because that ain't your reward. Your reward's in heaven. And so if people are going to disassociate from you and they're going to reproach you and they're going to run your name down, okay, if that's what they're going to do, now, what I'm about to say is one of the hardest things we will ever do as human beings. Okay, I'm prefacing this next remark with that right there. When they're running you down and they're pulling your name through the mud and they have disconnected from you and they've caused all kind of havoc, don't take it personally. Man, that ain't easy. I struggle with that one. Who struggles with that? I struggle with that. It's easy to struggle with that. You have to work through it until you get to the point where you realize, hold up. They didn't walk out on me. They walked out on him. Our door knocking yesterday and the doors that were not opened or the doors that were slammed are the people that did say an adamant no. It is so easy. It's almost just, you would almost feel normal to take that personally. Man, they just slammed the door in my face. But here's one of those values Jesus taught. If you go to the door and they don't receive you, shake that dust off your feet and go to the next one. That's not your problem. You can't make them receive me. And so if they reject you, they didn't really reject you. Boy, we're the ones that feel it, though, because we're the ones at the door went, bam! Okay, you could have at least just shut it. You didn't have to slam it. But they didn't reject me. They rejected him. And so you have to understand there is blessing in persecution. You got to learn how to leap for joy. Oh, that's hard. You got to learn. Y'all, I'm not even off the first page yet. This is ridiculous. You got to learn how to leap for joy when they're running your name through the mud and they're trashing you and they're trying to cause drama in your world and they're talking about how much you've changed. Yes, I have changed. Actually, I'm almost 50. I hope to God I've changed. I hope I'm not like I was when I was 14. Right? I hope you've changed. My wife wouldn't want to be married to a 14-year-old kid. That's a little prison. Weird, right? kind of weird. We don't support that kind of stuff. So Jesus' apostles listened to this message, and some of them literally took it literal. They listened to him, and when he said, when you're persecuted, rejoice. And you know what they did in Acts 5? They got whooped. And the Bible said they rejoiced. They said, I count it worthy. It's my honor to get beaten for his name's sake. They literally took what Jesus said and fleshed it out to show us it is possible that you can take a whooping and realize it really wasn't you. You took it for him. Well, he took a lot more for us. I think we can handle a little persecution. Right? I mean, think about that. He took 39, saved one. He was just about literally dead when they hung him on that cross. He took all of that. And so he's saying, don't get all turned sideways, turn into a victim and get bitter when you go through persecution. I did it so I could show you. And then his apostles, they did it so they could show us. It's about him. And if I have to get a whooping to get my reward, well, I guess just take it like a man. We can expect those who reject us to reject Jesus to reject us. That is the value, okay? We can expect those who reject Jesus to reject us. Studies have shown that trees raised in experimental biodomes have fallen over after several years because they had not put down any deep roots. Wind and storms force trees to anchor deeply. Did you catch that? Wind and storms literally force a natural tree to grow roots deeper because they know it's coming. Test is coming. It ain't hurricane season yet, but it's coming. It ain't tornado season yet, but it's coming. It ain't flood season yet, but it's coming. And if my roots aren't deep enough to hold me, when that storm comes, I'm falling. I'm done for. And when I'm down, I can't pick myself up. Hello. I'm over. I'm finished. And so if you don't learn how to dig deep roots into the things and values of the kingdom, that storm's going to come through and it's going to knock you slap sideways. You will be uprooted and tossed a few feet when that tornado comes through. You may be turned sideways and used as a torpedo. That happens. You ever seen the damage of a storm come through and like these big trees that like picked up and thrown, and you're like, you see all the structural under the ground that you didn't see when you just saw the tree. And as big as that tree was, I remember on the back road, Victory Road there, or whatever that road is, there was a big tree that fell over. And I mean, it was huge. And it laid there on its side for a long time until the guy finally got someone out there and chopped it all up. And I mean, you'd ride by there every day, and it was like a visual aid of, that is a massive tree. But the root system did not go deep enough for it to withstand the storm. That's a value that Jesus taught. You better dig deep. You better be ready. And disciples do not wait for life to shape them. They consecrate themselves and they volunteer for a rough ride. They don't wait till the storm hits to realize, oh, wait a minute, I need to dig a little deeper. They dig deeper expecting the storm's coming. That's what living for God is. We don't wait till we get blindsided. We understand, like, it's out there and it's coming. I've got to build in preparation. We must remember what Jesus told his disciples: if they persecuted me, they will also persecute you. Now, what the world values is not always what is best. While celebrating the poor whom the world despises, Jesus also warned that doom would come to the rich, for they had already received their reward in this life. Those who are self-satisfied in their luxury, in their possessions, and in pursuing their best life now have no hope in the next life. We do not have to hit rock bottom to get a right heart. Like, you don't have to You don't have to become a bad person so that you can really, taste what deliverance and grace is like. That you can just be right because that's like he tells you what to do to be right. Now, for example, we can choose brokenness. In other words, we can give money to help people, to the poor, to the needy. We can share our resources, which is what they did in Acts 2. They shared their resources. They were all, had all things in common. We can give up a meal. I mean, look at us. We can give up a meal. Praise God. But at least hit Red Top once a week, They were there Friday night. They were partying with you. Amen. If we struggle to be hungry for the things of heaven, it is because we are too full of earthly things. That is our dilemma, especially in this, in our first world problems here. Our Wi-Fi goes out and we lose our mind. We lose our mind. What is happening? Meanwhile, over in Ukraine, you see what I'm saying? Like, I try to get people to see, Pastor, it's rough. I know. But do you live in Ukraine? That's what I try to say. Man, I tell you, I'm in pain. I'm hurting. I'm not throwing off on you because I know it's real. But, I'm not talking about you because I'm talking about people who are just like wimps. Oh, just not you either, honey. I know your neck's jacked up today, but people who just all the time like, I'm. You don't even want to ask them how they feel because they're so close to death. You don't even realize, man, they've already got the music queued up, and you don't ask them because man, it's rough, it's bad. But it's like, I can tell you 2 or 3 stories right now that yours isn't really all that bad. But it's going to be hard to convince them because they have convinced themselves. I'm a victim. No, the world's against me, like the whole world, not just like worldly world, like the world. Everybody's against me. Nobody loves me. Oh man, they get a chance, they're gonna do me wrong. Oh my goodness, they wake up looking for the clouds. The sun is blinding them in their eyes, and they're waiting to find where's the cloud? Where's the cloud? I gotta have a cloud. God, I need a cloud in my life today. I gotta have something to be upset about. Right? They go into work, man, everything's going good. There was no traffic that day, and they're like, well, something's going to be bad at work. Could it just happen to be a pretty good day today? Like, no, I'm looking for it. Where are they at? Where's my boss? I know he'll make me mad. They come in, they give you donuts. You're like, well, that didn't work either, man. Will somebody please be mean to me? I've got to have a reason to get bitter. Those are victims. And they live their whole life like that. Man, come on. You could be in Ukraine. I'm going to close. I didn't finish this lesson, but I read this last night, and this is very noble. The Ukrainian, president, the U.S. offered him a flight out. Said, we'll come pick you up, and we'll take you out of Ukraine. And his words were, and I've read 2 different sentences, so don't hold me accountable to if it's a different word, but his words were, I don't need a ride, I need more ammunition. You know what his wife said? Boy, this is hardcore stuff right here. They told his wife and said, we'll take you and your kids, and she said, my kids aren't going anywhere without me, and I'm not going anywhere without him. We'll take persecution, but we ain't cowering out of here. Look, you think your life is bad? You could be in Ukraine right now. You know what I mean? Folks, we are blessed. As bad as a weekend as the Sims have had, they're still blessed. As goofy as that car is acting with the Kirby's, they're still blessed. And I'm telling you, when we practice that mentality, over and over and over, we will raise up children who will look at the blessing through the persecution. They won't want to check out and quit because it got hard or we felt the pressure coming from every side. They'll know, well, you know what? If I'll just hang in there a little bit longer, Jesus promised me, not pastor. I didn't promise you that. I'm just telling you I'm reminding you what Jesus told you. Jesus promised me there's a blessing in that persecution. If I'll just hold on, follow the teachings of Jesus. Okay? I read something, and I'm gonna use this, but I'm gonna paraphrase. It was used in a funeral this past week. Bishop B.A. Spell, his funeral. Brother Alviar said something to the effect of, do what this great man right here did. Follow Jesus. Follow his footsteps. Put your feet where his footsteps are and just keep walking. Just follow Jesus. Don't get distracted by who falls or who walks out or who lies to you or who does you dirty or who tries to lie on you. And listen, God will take care of all that stuff. Just follow Jesus. Just follow Jesus. There's blessing when you follow him. But you get distracted and start trying to fight earthly battles and war, carnal warfare. You know what happens when you fight a skunk? You're going to come out smelling like one. You may even win, but you're going to go home smelling like one. Let God worry about the skunk, and you just follow him. Amen? I didn't finish, but hey, whatever. I'll use it again one of these days.